Hello, hello, hello. Happy Arts and Education Week. I am Quanice Floyd, the Executive Director of Arts Education in Maryland Schools, also known as Ames. And so here at Ames, we are committed to ensuring that all students in the state of Maryland have access to high quality arts education by mobilizing power to communities through advocacy programs, professional leadership programs, and resource building and sharing. This week, Ames is celebrating Arts and Education Week, and we're doing that by having various activities, and we're highlighting arts education and arts educators from around the state of Maryland. Today and Thursday, we'll be hosting Facebook Live conversations with amazing artists, arts educators, education advocates, as well as arts education advocates. So please be sure to follow us on social media platforms. Our username is ArtsEdMaryland, and use the hashtag because of Arts Ed and Arts Ed MD to follow along and join in. So it is Ames's goal to strengthen Maryland's arts education ecosystem. And in order to do that, we must work collaboratively together and listen to all of our stakeholders. And that's just what we did. Last year, Ames conducted community listening sessions, we've sent out surveys, we supported educators on the ground, and we received feedback from our advisory groups. With all of this data, we compiled a number of reports to hold ourselves and the field accountable. So today, we released our community meetings report and our stakeholder feedback report. We are so excited to discuss what we've published, but before we do, I want to discuss just how we got to this point. The purpose of this public-facing report is to report on the findings from community listening sessions, to ensure that there is a transparent alignment of Ames's work in information gathering with our commitment to our value of community. Ames seeks to illuminate and highlight the power for communities and to ensure that we create systemic change together. This report uplifts and centers the voices of arts educators, both the current transformative impact that they have on students, as well as the impediments that prevent arts education access, interferes with educators' delivery of instruction, and fails to provide necessary support for meaningful arts education. The findings from this report necessitate a call to action for Maryland's leaders to address local and systemic issues that arts educators face in the state. The needs and concerns that educators raise, which this report enumerates, will also form the basis of Ames's advocacy efforts to ensure that Maryland leaders hear the constituents' call to action. Thus, Ames has developed 6 recommendations so that we can strengthen the arts education infrastructure collectively. Next slide. Thank you. So the first recommendation is make language changes from the top down that acknowledge the parity of arts courses with standardized test courses. And so one thing that we did notice with Ames is that arts education is often put off as the other. It's often called resources, it's called specials, it's called everything. But on a federal level and a statewide level in Maryland, arts education is a core subject. And so we want our language to reflect that, because that also helps us become more explicit in the importance of arts education around the state. Recommendation number 2 is to embrace and support interdisciplinary connections between the arts and other subjects. You've heard of most things like arts integration, you've heard of arts and ... but we know the power of the arts as a standalone, and we also understand how the arts can create opportunities in other subjects. Recommendation number 3 is removing barriers to access for arts education to support holistic educational experiences for students. I mean, all students need to have access to arts education in the state of Maryland. That is a non-negotiable. All of our students in every single school need to have access to arts education. And recommendation number 4 is invest in and support all artistic disciplines within arts education. So in the state of Maryland, our artistic disciplines are 5. We have visual arts, music, media arts, theater, and dance. And so investing in all 5 of those disciplines is crucial so that students can receive a holistic education. Recommendation number 5, investing and providing support for resources in arts education. One thing that we heard a lot from educators and from folks who are in the arts education ecosystem is that there is a lack of funding happening with arts resources, with instruments, with additional tools, things that they need in the classroom to make sure that their students are getting education of high quality. And then our last recommendation is building professional and personal peer support for arts educators around the state and within their own disciplines. So teachers want to know what other teachers are doing. They want to connect, they want to build a community, they want to support one another, they want to provide resources to one another. And so that is the last of our recommendations. And so today we have an amazing panel of arts educators and arts education advocates to discuss these recommendations. We have Amber Wright, a dance educator from Queen Anne's County, Joanne Foster, media arts specialist from Prince George's County, and they will introduce themselves in just a minute. But I first want to say that I'm excited to welcome Alicia Lee from the Fine Arts Office at the Maryland State Department of Education, and Anita Lambert, who is an Ames board member and coordinating supervisor for creative and performing arts in Prince George's County Public Schools, as the co-host for today's discussion. Alicia and Anita, please introduce yourself to the audience by sharing a little bit about yourself and your role in Maryland's arts education ecosystem.
Great. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Alicia Lee. Quanice and your team, thank you so much for inviting MSDE to participate. I work at the State Department of Education, where I'm the coordinator of fine arts. In addition to that, because I can't work in Maryland public schools, I also do a lot of community arts work. And so I am the founder of Sister Cities Girl Choir, which is a girl empowerment choral academy on the East Coast. Thanks for having me here tonight. Anita, you're muted.
Sorry, I thought I had clicked off. Good evening, everyone. Thank you also, Quanice, for inviting me. I am a proud, fairly new board member to the Ames board, and it's so exciting to do that work. My day job is I am a coordinating supervisor for creative arts, which is a fancy title for someone who serves all of the supervisors of the fine arts in Prince George's County, and I have an amazing team. There's just none, second to none. And, but I also have to feed my own soul. So I am an organist and a soloist and an accompanist and a teacher, and still make music because that's what I need to be who I am. So yes. Thank you again for allowing me to be here.
I think we're going to turn it over to Amber. Amber, will you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, I'd love to. So good evening, everyone. And Quanice, thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be here. Again, I'm Amber Wright, and I am a dance educator in Queen Anne's County Public Schools. I am a former Teacher of the Year last year, so I'm super proud of that. Thank you. I work a lot in my community with different projects that I'm asked to do. So that's my kind of community outreach. I take my students along with me. We have something called Dr. Martin Luther King Celebration. So that's one project, community project, that I'm super proud of, and my students look forward to all of the time. Again, I am so excited to be here and share some thoughts and hear some other thoughts just about the arts, because where would we be without the arts?
Right. Absolutely. All right, well, let's dive right in. We're going to investigate and just, we'll keep the conversation. We want it to feel discussion-y, talky. Lucky for everyone who's watching, they get to spend time just kind of hearing us talk about something that means so much to us. So this first question is rooted in this first recommendation. And just as a reminder, that first recommendation was to make language changes from the top down that make sure that the parity of arts courses is very clear with our standardized test courses, right? We're so lucky in Maryland that the arts have been identified at the state level as a core subject. I want to make sure everyone is aware, all subjects are not core subjects. So we are very fortunate in the arts. Yes, sometimes people think that means, oh, all the subjects. No, but the arts are part of the core subject areas in Maryland. So this first question is, we recognize that arts education is often thought of as an other in schools. However, the arts are a critical part of ensuring that students receive a holistic education. Let's hear from you, Amber, some strategies. Yeah, and let's hear from Anita too. Some strategies that you're using to, that you're implementing within your school community about how you've advocate for the importance of art education as a core subject.
Right. So being department chair, I can say that I really strive hard to make sure that we make our content rigorous, make it relevant, and we hold our students responsible. And in doing that, it really sets expectations high for students. We teach our courses as if we are teaching college classes, really. Our higher level students classes, we teach them like college courses, and we hold those students accountable. So we have an AP music theory class at our school, along with some AP visual art classes. And we've really seen that our classes have really improved just as far as students really will rise to the occasion. You know, if we set the bar high, they will meet us. So that's what we do. We strive for rigor, we strive for relevance, and we strive for responsibility.
Absolutely. I love that. And those AP classes, making sure that students have access to AP courses is a really excellent strategy for elevating the programs below the high school level, right? So as students start to think about a pathway forward from pre-K up to high school, that they know that those classes wait for them. Anita, what have you seen on that same front? How are conversations locally happening where we're reminding people about this importance? The arts are a core subject in schools.
The wonderful thing about being in a very large district that also has, we have 206 schools, but we have suburban schools, we have urban schools, we have rural schools. And so we have teachers that are working in communities that are as varied as 206 schools can be. And so we look at the standards, and we look at the National Core Standards, we look at the Maryland State Standards, we look at the national trends, if you will, in terms of rigorous instruction. And then we give the teachers the tools they need in terms of professional development, conversations, professional learning communities to develop their capacity to then engage the students in the community in which they serve. And so then they can elevate the instruction from wherever they are to wherever they need to go. Within the context of the community they serve. So that's just really an exciting, kind of empowering feeling to know that the students that I have at this little teeny tiny one-room school here in Southern Maryland are just making phenomenal films, or they're making outstanding dance performances just because of who they are and where they are.
Wow. Prince George's County has one-room schoolhouses?
Oh, yeah.
I never knew that. Yeah,
that's a
amazing.
little teeny tiny school down in Southern County that I think it's only had a paved road for maybe about 10 years.
Wow. It's so exciting. I just wanted you to repeat that because it's so exciting to hear the diversity within our state, the different ways that that Marylanders look. Like there's really no one way. But that's exciting to have all of that inside of one county. That's really cool. So what I hear from you all is definitely making sure that those higher levels of expectations, like raising the bar, Amber mentioned raising the bar for what we expect from our students, allows them to really show off what they can do. And then, of course, excellent instruction involves the community. I heard that mentioned several times, and is standards aligned. So we have beautiful art standards in Maryland that are expansive and supportive and support holistic instruction and exciting exploration in the arts classrooms. And so we really want to make sure that that's in place. I've heard people ask, oh, there's standards for the arts? It's like, come on.
Right?
There are learning standards for every content area in a school. It's 2021, okay? Don't play us like that. There are standards. I'm going to turn it over to Anita.
Well, recommendation 2 was embrace and support interdisciplinary connections between the arts and other subjects. And the question is, what are some ways you work with non-arts educators to incorporate or implement arts education integration into your school community? And if you don't mind, I would love to start with this because arts integration is huge in Prince George's County. In recent years, I think the last count, some 85 or 95 schools had embraced arts integration as a curricular way of instruction.
I mean, that's huge because didn't you say you have about 200 schools? So that's almost half of your entire county.
That's right. And at one point, I think the goal was for every school to be an arts integration school. But I think the focus now with leadership is to empower those teachers that are excited and impassioned about it to bring those concepts and those skills to their schools. So we have arts integration master teachers that have spent a couple of years in coursework and study, and they are writing lessons and they're sharing lessons and they're presenting at their schools and they're presenting for one another. They're offering support to other professional learning communities, schools that want to integrate the arts. So it's just a wonderful place. You know, Alicia has spoken at our Pagadi, Prince George's Artist Teacher Institute in the summer, where we consistently have at least 100 or more non-arts educators interested in learning about the arts and the impact that it has in their classroom. Amarlo Castillo is our arts integration resource teacher, phenomenal. And she has shared some anecdotal things, but they're very important to know, where principals have said, really think that adding arts integration has impacted our test scores, has impacted the ability for teachers to be excited and to share that engaging spirit with the students. So yeah, arts integration is alive and well in Prince George's County, and we look forward to growing it even more.
So I know that Queen Anne's isn't as big as Prince George's County. So we do our best and we do a good job for the most part. We do a good job. Now, I can only speak at the high school level, so I'm not sure what they do at the elementary and the middle school levels. But I know up at the high school, there are several non-artist classes that we artists go into. For example, I was asked by an English teacher one time to integrate the arts into Beowulf. So now if you can think of Beowulf, it was kind of interesting. So what we actually ended up doing was I took my higher level students and I had them create some movement around whatever piece of Beowulf that particular group was reading. And then they taught the non-artists. So some of the ways I would suggest artists to teach or help non-artists would be, one, offer yourself up like they do in Prince George's County, right? So you offer yourself up to the non-artist teacher. You say, how can I help you do this? The second way is involve your students. I mean, they need an opportunity too to collaborate and work with their peers. And so they love sharing what they know. So again, offer your students up to help. And then thirdly, if you can't do the first two, then just offer to write the plans yourself. And again, make it meaty, but make it simple so that any teacher can teach it. So those are the three things that I would suggest. But here's another thing. Alicia does a wonderful job in the summer presenting so many opportunities for teachers, artists and non-artists, to take classes. And they just, everyone benefits from those wonderful classes. Alicia, what exactly are the names? What's the name of the summer program so that everyone can?
Amber was a rock star this summer. She showed out. Yes.
It was so much fun. But what is the name?
So in the summer, thank you, Amber, for that plug.
Yes.
The Maryland Centers for Creative Classrooms, and we have an incredible facilitation team. We've got just incredible facilitators leading that work, and it almost feels like a spa for arts educators and for arts integration folks to come and just bask in each other's creativity and get excited and invigorated for the school year.
It is therapy.
And Amber was there showing out this summer. She was, yes, we got to see her final performance was fabulous. Yes.
Thank you.
The thing about arts integration too is when I sit down with my peers at the state level and we talk about instruction and the priorities, the things that they talk about, I'm like, that's because y'all don't integrate the arts. So they're looking to elevate the engagement of students. They're looking to make assessment more exciting for students, specifically formative assessment, right? Not just exciting for students, but accessible and also possible for teachers. Teachers really struggle with formative assessment outside of the art space. We as arts educators, that's all we know how to do is formatively assess. So we are fine. But our peers, our other content area peers, also, of course, they're looking to build creative orientations of the mind. They're looking to build critical thinking. They want students to ask more questions and be curious. Well, the arts are the way that you can implement all of those things. You can see those multidisciplinary connections. You can assess through the art making, right? What kids know, making learning and thinking visible through the arts. So I think that sometimes people have been taught in the past that only, I love Amber's model about go to the non-artist teacher and work with them, right? Because what Amber's doing is empowering that person. All of us have artists inside of us. The arts are available to all humans. And so what Amber was doing was helping that person to unleash some of their creativity, right? Because the arts are about being a human being. So I love that idea of we are experts, we can help. But what Amber was doing was really igniting that teacher to think about, okay, right? How can I use movement again in my classroom? I'm sure that teacher saw a difference in their students' understanding of a text. It's really difficult to, I'm going to just say, enjoy reading. Beowulf, I don't know anybody whose favorite book is Beowulf, okay? And no one's favorite book. So, so that is, I think that's a really great thing. And for us to be ambassadors of that kind of thinking is wonderful in a school.
Yeah. There's also the other side of arts integration that sometimes we always, as artists, present it from the arts side. In Sturgis County a couple of years ago, I was talking with the reading English language arts people, and we were talking about academic vocabulary that's across content. So we pulled together a team of educators, our teacher leaders in every arts form. We had reading English language arts supervisors present what is close read. What does that mean? What is reading for the gist? What does that mean? And then the supervisors and the teacher leaders, with that common understanding, came up with lists and lists and lists. Close read in theater is when I. Close read in vocal music is when we. And then now arts educators and non-arts people have that same common academic language. So when that band kid goes to band and the band teacher says, okay, we're going to close read measures 2 through 10, they know right away what close read is in that content area, right? So it validates it across, yes. So that
is an equity strategy. You're helping students.
We hadn't had
I was going to say the same.
That's math.
Yeah, it really puts everybody on the same footing. It makes it really does. Like Alicia just said, equitable. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. I'm using that. That's good.
Yes. Please do. The pedagogy of the whole building.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. I love it. Oh, the whole district, whoever was involved, but just
Well,
to be a student to go through a school day.
I can't take credit for the original idea. Dr. Amy is not in our county anymore, but she kind of planted that seed and we started having conversations, and it just was a wonderful experience. I can sit here now and think and about it and see the sea of teachers just talking and planning, and it just, germinated, right?
Yes.
Planted that seed. And so
That's
now
what we want to see. That's what we want to see. That's amazing. What we don't want to see is when a county wants to make an impact in literacy, for instance. We don't want to see that county say, these are the literacy skills. So, hey, music teacher, practice these skills with standard text, or dance teacher, stop dancing in the middle of dance and pull out a textbook and read and use these literacy skills. We want to see some creativity. We want to see people say, no, these same skills can be broken down.
Right.
And we can give students chances to apply these skills in the art class and have success, and then tell them that they're doing it so they're aware as well. So then when they go to do the thing where the challenge is, and that's why that is brilliant. Brilliant. Excellent. That's what we like to see. Well, here we go to question number 3.
Okay.
I'm looking to see now. Okay, great. Awesome. I thought I saw a little message. Perfect. Recommendation number 3 is removing barriers to access for arts education to support a holistic educational experience for students. This is perfect. These really are dovetailing beautifully inside of each other. So the arts are distinct in content because they address culture in ways that are innately recognizable. Dancing, music, art, it's so important we remember that being singing and moving and dancing is just a part of being a human being. That's what humans do. People think humans work, but actually that's not true. What humans do is they make art. Yes. Anyway, what do you think are some ways school systems can remove barriers to arts education for your school community? Yeah. And maybe also we can talk about what some of those barriers are. Why don't beyond funding? What are some other pieces why we don't see all students participating in the arts in school?
Can I jump in quickly?
Please,
All
Amber.
right. So one reason I see not as much participation is we are intimidating to a lot of people. The arts are intimidating, and a lot of students think, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't draw. I can't sing. I can't, all these things that they can't do. So one of the ways I find that breaking down barriers, or how to break down a barrier, is be visible. Don't be necessarily the dance teacher, Miss Wright. I'm Miss Wright in the building. And so I'm Miss Wright that just happens to be the dance teacher. I am visible. I go to everything and everywhere, and I talk about what I do. I'm the dance teacher. I do this and that and the third, and so that way they can see Miss Wright as a person, so that dance isn't intimidating when they walk through the door. So that's one way that I try to break down the barriers. And then just another way is I ask students to talk about what we do. Talk about all the projects that we ask you to do. And then their friends go, well, if Bobby can do it, I can certainly do that, right? Because then they see themselves on equal footing as Bobby, and if Bobby can do it, And then the last thing I like to do, and I like to tell my team, the studio is a curious place. I make it magical. I make it interesting. I make it mysterious. And so they always like to peek their heads in to see what's going on. And then I go, well, you got to take class to find out the magic, So I just try to be as visible, but as open as I can, so that students feel welcomed into the space. And it's not they're going in as dancers, they're going in as students, but they come out as artists. Love it.
Oops, I was muted. Oh, I love that. They go in as students, but they come out as artists. I love that. And we want to welcome to the virtual stage. Hi, Joanne Foster.
Hi, everybody. Good evening, everyone. Getting my sunshine and outdoor air.
Good for you. That
How
sounds
are
lovely. Joanne, will you tell us your role in the arts education landscape?
So, sure, absolutely. So, I teach library media in 2 elementary schools, one in Oxon Hill, Maryland, and the other in Fort Washington, Maryland. And I have the grades pre-K through 6th grade.
That is wonderful. That's wonderful. Terrific. So is that Prince George's County?
Yes, it is.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So are you leading media arts classes?
Yes, I teach library media, and this year we were asked to be innovative because, as you know, many children were left behind when we did virtual because of COVID for the last year and a half. So we have to catch the children up with their skills. So they asked us to be innovative, and this year I am embedding arts integration in all of my lessons.
Oh, and how's that going?
Well, the children love, we're only in our second week of school, as you know,
That's
but I took a survey last June. And when I surveyed my students, many of them said that they wanted more art in library. And this is because we did not have an art teacher. And oddly enough, this year, we don't have an art teacher either in either school.
Okay. So you're giving them that space to be critical thinkers, to be curious, and to be creative.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
And creation, I'm glad you said creation because that's so important for students to be able to use their imaginations and create. This is a creation type world we're living in right now. Students have to be able to think on their own and create with STEM, science, graphics, all of that. So I'm helping them with the critical thinking and creating.
We love it. We love it. I love to hear that. Well, we're so glad you're joining us. We are just talking about access barriers to arts instruction. Mm-hmm. And you've talked a little bit about that in your introduction. Thank you for introducing us. Ms. Lambert, anything to add around access barriers? I mean, I did remove the main access barrier is, of course, funding. The second one is, of course, scheduling. Yes. But what are some other ways maybe that students even opt out? I love that Amber talked about just that intimidation factor. To me, that reminds me, not to provide an answer, but you know, we want our students to feel like every content area is available to them, not just in the arts. I mean, algebra, calculus, like whatever you might, you know, anything is available to you. You can make a choice. And so when we see students that have had early exposure to the arts, where they've been able to participate in all 5 arts disciplines throughout the longevity of school career, when they get to high school level, then that anxiety goes down a little bit, right? Because they know they have experience. So that's one way that by investing in those early programs is one way that we can remove some access barriers.
Absolutely, as well as activating our internal resources. You know, at an elementary school level, parents are usually very engaged and to just, I found out, oh, this parent over here owns their own film company. Really? This parent over here dances in a semi-professional studio just because. Really? So what can you do to offer, you know, arts instruction through the resources that are in your building? I heard Amber say, and it's still also very true, sharing resources with you, allowing your students, especially as we talk about communities and culture, everyone has the art, like you said, in there. So there's a passion, there's a vocation, there's an avocation. A lot, whatever it is they share, validate it and give them opportunities to share it. Also, we have started something with our mental health group, our social workers and psychiatrists, in programs called 500 Ways to Cope. And we literally sent out a memo, how are you handling the stress and anxiety of life? And we had students, teachers, paraprofessionals, people from every walk of life sharing what they did, and they were all various art forms. We've got poets, we've got visual arts. And so now we have this website of, Miss So-and-so over there at this school is sewing. Right? And so that's activating those internal resources and allowing people to just be who they are and appreciating them. And it just elevates the arts to a whole nother level. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think we'll just jump right over to question 4.
Okay. Is that me? Okay. Ooh. Invest in and support all artistic disciplines within arts education is the recommendation. And based on your experience, what would be a fully supported arts education infrastructure in Maryland, and what would that look like?
Oh.
Both and.
Yes.
Both and.
Yes.
Yeah, just to be able to have in every building, in every place, in every space, arts education.
Yeah.
And I don't want to build an infrastructure, because that's got to be as unique as all 24 counties in Baltimore City.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's the foundation of the infrastructure, then you can build that castle the way it needs to be built.
Mm-hmm.
But for at least for us to be able to walk into any school and to see the arts are elevated, but also ubiquitous. I like to walk in a building and I can hear singing, I can hear the band, but I also see artwork on the wall, or I go into that health classroom and they are, doing some kind of art project. So it's a part of that, like you said, infrastructure. It's the building blocks of that school culture. Yeah.
Absolutely. And when I think about infrastructure too, I think about, from the state, the ways that we can support local school systems to meet these goals. And so, we're doing, we have, Anita and I work with incredible network, fine arts. Shout out to Queen Anne's Supervisor Michael Bell. Yes. So shout out Queen Anne.
Yes,
we work with an incredible network of very impassioned fine arts supervisors in the state of Maryland. I was on a call earlier today with some other states. Those shall not be named, but not every state has a fine arts supervisor in every district. Some districts, there is not any support at the central office place. Not in Maryland though, but in other states. That's commonplace actually, for there to be limited leadership, limited support. And what that also means is limited advocacy within state agencies and local school systems to make sure that the arts are maintained and active and also resourced the way they should be. So we're very fortunate in Maryland. We have 24 counties, and in each county there's a team or an individual who is impassioned about making sure that students and schools have the resources they need to create thriving arts programs. So we're very lucky in that regard. But we want to support that group more, and that group also, they are, maybe because they're all artists, so they have arts habits of mind, but they are interested in learning and growing. They're interested in stretching and exploring. We are all elevating our own understanding of what educational equity can be. And that group they're ready. to learn more, right? They're ready to jump in, and there's not a lot of resistance around elevation. So change is hard, but I think we're in good hands here in Maryland. We've just got the right people at the helm who are focused on all of the right things. So, we're going to make this work. We know Ames is working on some arts education data, and that helps us all to also not just be accountable, but also to see the progress, because that's also something that gets lost, is the progress that gets made from year to year as we make sure that more schools have what they need. So I think all of those things are good going in Maryland. And we'll see what else needs to be. We'll see what else needs to be there. But we're being responsive, not reactive in Maryland. Let's move on to question 5. Right? No infrastructure, right? Correct? Yes. All right. Investing and providing support for resources in arts education is recommendation 5. So this is that dream question. We're going to throw it to Amber. What would your ideal arts education classroom look like? Or even program, since you're the department head too. What is that ideal program? What is it? Will you describe it?
Sure. So the ideal program for me would be having professional artists come into our classrooms. Love that idea. I know Ames is so wonderful about that. I just love that idea. It gives different eyes to the same big idea. So I can say it one way, but then a professional artist can come in and just say it so differently that it just clicks for the students. So I love it. I love the fact of having different artists come in. But here's also what I love. I think it would be ideal if we could, much like Anita has said, I think it would be great if we could have cross artist curricular kind of programs where maybe the music teacher comes into the dance studio and talks about how we relate to music. How does dance relate to music? How does music relate to dance? How does art relate to dance? The shading, the lines, the form, the motifs, how does all of that relate? That would be an ideal classroom for me. But here's the thing. Then we all put on this big show, because I don't have another word for it. We put on this big show, whatever that is, a musical, a dance, but we incorporate everybody, all the arts at once in this one big production. That would blow my mind and invite the community.
Amber, we're going to do that next summer. Let's do it next summer. That sounds so cool.
I'm so excited.
Let's go with teachers. Yeah, let's do with teachers and see how it goes.
Okay.
Work out all the kinks.
I'm there. Let me know.
Okay.
That's it. So
cool.
Yeah. And so I think just real quickly, not to hold you, but another ideal classroom would be students talking to other students. So students in one class, just talking to other art students from across the state. So I know in dance, we have the high school dance festival where students actually talk to one another. They get to collaborate and create. It's a beautiful day. I know years ago when I was younger, Maryland had the Maryland Summer Center for the Arts.
Yes.
It's back in the 80s. And we would have professional. I mean, they did movies, they did Broadway, all those artists would come together, and then all of the students from the arts would get together and we would just learn and create. And it was just a beautiful experience all around. So those things, professional artists coming into our classroom, cross arts curriculum, education. And if we could just get a place where, our students had that summer center experience again. Awesome, because it would transcend into our classrooms. Everything they learned in the summer, they'll bring it back to the classroom. Yeah. Those are my ideal classrooms.
Those are beautiful visions. Those are beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
There's a school in DC called the School Without Walls, and the students go, if they're studying government, they go down to the Supreme Court or they go down to the House of Representatives. If they are studying math, and they're interested, they go to NASA. They design their own learning. They take responsibility for it. An ideal arts classroom will be art wherever you are. Whether you're in a STEAM classroom, whether you're in an English classroom, whether you're in a media center. it's arts for all, at all times, at any time.
Mm,
And it's not something that we have to program or schedule any more than today I'm going to, this is what I need to learn. And I learned by doing. So, or I learned by movement, or I learned by singing. So if I need to learn X, how can I incorporate how I learn it and then go do it?
that's
So
right.
just kind of that openness to it, I think, for lack of a better word, just, arts for all, arts without walls.
Oh, I love that. Shout out to DC. Joanne, what about for you? What's your ideal arts ed program in your space? If you had everything you needed. Oh, yeah, I think you're muted.
Yes, thank you. In my space as the librarian or library media specialist, I work with all of the content areas and I embed digital literacy into all the content areas. So it would be wonderful if all the teachers collaborated, if all of us collaborated with the arts and made sure there was an art component in every aspect. I think that it would enliven each subject area. And I think that students would be able to express themselves more if the arts were embedded in social studies, in science, in math, you understand, in reading. Now for library, I have invited an author and I just have to, she's asking me to contact her agent. So I know when she says contact her agent, she just won one children's award this year. I'll mention her name, Miss. Well, I'll just hold on because it's in the process of creating, and you understand the creation process. So I want to not put it out just yet. But once she says contact her agent, that means there's an honorarium, right? So right away, I have to start thinking about, okay, how am I going to fund this? But my ideal art situation would be where there was money aside, where everybody could invite artists in residence. We could have artists come in, visual artists, performing artists, graphic artists, someone from Google. I mean, the corporations would adopt a school. That would be ideal in every situation. Celebrities would adopt the school, the arts, and they would write checks. And we would not have to worry about grants. Every time I mention inviting an artist in, inviting a writer, an author, illustrator, there's always money attached.
Yes.
So I would love to just have a drummer come in and do a performance or teach my children how to play the drums. We have autistic children in our school. We just got a new autistic center in our school.
Oh,
so
wow.
We have little ones. They would respond so well to the drumming aspect and music, more music incorporated. We do have a music teacher, but I feel like it's something that should be shared for the entire school. And I would love, we don't even have an auditorium. Many of the schools now, back in the day, we had auditoriums in every school. Now I see students use their school cafeterias as auditoriums and stages. And to me, that we're just missing out so much because children don't know when they go to the Kennedy Center how they're supposed to behave in a theater or how they're supposed to behave at an opera. They don't know. They're not trained from an early age because where do we perform? Oh, we go see a play in the cafeteria. So my ideal school would be where the arts are incorporated in everything. And I know my students can't wait. When I mentioned we're doing Readers Theater this year, they were really excited because they wanted to take some of the great literature and change it into a play so they could perform for the lower grades, for kindergarten and first grade. So they're really looking forward to that, to being able to do Readers Theater where you do a script and you write plays.
Yes.
So thank you for incorporating. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for having me as a panelist. I really appreciate it.
Of course. All righty. We're moving on to recommendation 6. This is the last one. And
Okay.
yeah.
It's building professional and personal peer support for arts educators around the state and within their disciplines. One thing that we've heard from arts educators is that they would like to build communities with their peers around the state. If there were professional learning peer networks available, what topics would be of interest? How about we start with Miss Amber on that one?
Thank you, Anita. Okay, so again, I'm just speaking from a personal perspective.
Mhm.
Dance is an outstanding network. They have the National Dance Education Organization. Maryland also has a wonderful dance network with the Maryland Dance Education Association, MDEA.
Mhm.
Right? So we kind of already have that. And within that network, we there's always workshops, there are always panel, talks. And we talk about choreography, we talk about composition, we talk about history and how even lessons like what's the best way to teach this lesson or that lesson. So in dance, we have that. But I would say probably for music and for drama or theater, they just need a place to share. I was talking to my drama teacher and he said, you're so lucky that you have a place where you can spring ideas off of one another and you can just find resources. He said, I just don't have one place to go to. So I think that for theater, they just need a place to share. Music might even need just some collaboration on composition. Like, what are the best ways to teach students how to compose a piece of music? And maybe Alicia is laughing because I laugh too.
But that's true.
Yeah, sometimes music teachers, well, they just need a place to learn to help.
Yes, yeah, we're all growing. We are growing in that area. We have a lot to learn from dancers.
It's okay. We're all kind of coming along together.
Yeah.
So that would definitely be my idea for some networks for the different disciplines.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to shout out to all of our professional associations, and I want to say something that's very important, that the leaders of the professional associations have been very adamant about their understandings that they have not in the past been as statewide, the presence hasn't been as statewide as they would like it. And they are, and the past leaders and present leaders are all very committed to changing that. So, so the Maryland Dance Educator Association, if you're a dance educator, you need to join today. Theater, there is a new association for theater educators, MTEA. All of them, they're all the same. They just changed one letter. Yes. So MTEA, Maryland Theater Education Association, is a newer association. It's newer than dance even, and great network, a lot of professional learning. Maryland Music Education Association is a long-standing organization, but that really has some new ideas recently about, I would say, inclusivity, access, right? And there's some real expansive thinking happening there, where we're seeing a lot of changing with their programming and also their the way that they're being accessible to others. And then we also, of course, have our Visual Art Association, MAEA. There's also an association for teaching artists in Maryland. So if you are a teaching artist, you work in the outside school space, there's an association for you. It's called TAMA, Teaching Artists of the Mid-Atlantic, and there's a Maryland chapter. So those are places to find those kind of networks, because Amber's right. We need places just to be able to share, sometimes to vent. Sometimes to vent, and and to also expand. And I'll throw out then as well for MSDE, what we like to do, because the professional associations are so strong, is we like to bring people together across discipline as much as we can. As I am a music educator, and as a music educator, one of the things that we learn in our training programs, once we get to that ensemble level, is we leave out composition. But that is, we are seeing changes happening where curriculums are really elevating to include the creative process all throughout the gamut of musical offerings. And we, being music educators, we have a lot we can learn then from the theater folks, who've been devising new works and talking about, how to facilitate those conversations, from the dance teachers who've been using choreography to keep students engaged, thinking about big ideas with established repertoire and without, right? So we have a lot we can learn by having some cross-disciplinary conversations too. And that's really important for us at the State Department. And of course, y'all have a lot y'all can learn from us, right? So there's lots to learn and lots of connections to be found. We only have a few minutes left. Let Anita, yes.
Yes, there's also the digital connection. And yes, we all may be having Zoom fatigue, but I'm getting ready to shout out Ms. Chanel in Baltimore. Periodically, I'll shoot her an email that says, okay, we need to have lunch. And that means I'm sitting here with my lunch and she's on and we have this marvelous conversation. So having those, Miss Lee, I have some questions, can I? And just reaching out and having those it's not the same as being face to face, but it also allows me to be able to communicate with someone who's across the state, across the country, across the world. And using those kind of networks brings the world closer, but it also expands our ability to learn and to share together.
Absolutely. If you don't know the answer, somebody in the state does.
Oh yeah.
Somebody,
it's usually you, Miss Lee.
I was gonna say it's probably Anita, but but somebody in the state can help you with your question and help you get where you need to go. So this is wonderful. Well, this has been so wonderful, y'all, to be together. And I'm gonna turn this over to Quanice. Quanice, we've explored so many different ideas here. Amber threw out some new professional learning models for MC3 for next year, thinking about collaboration, thinking about support, thinking about infrastructure. It's been wonderful to be with Joanne, Amber, and Anita tonight. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you all. This has been a really, really dynamic conversation, extremely robust, and I'm just so thankful to be working in Maryland with amazing people like you all. So thank you, Joanne, Amber, Anita, and Alicia for joining us today. For those who are watching, thank you so much for tuning in. And please be sure to join us on Thursday, same time, same place, for our panel discussion talking about arts for life. So arts for life, we're going to talk about the arts inside and outside of the classroom, featuring amazing arts activists. And so be sure to follow us, Ames, on social media at ArtsEd Maryland. Please reshare our posts. We have a lot of stuff coming out for Arts and Education Week. We have a lot of, we actually have a surprise coming out at the end of the week in regards to our keynote speaker for the Arts Education Symposium. So please tune in, and we will see you all on Thursday. Happy Arts and Ed Week. Woo!